welcome once again to Real Shame. It's a show where we review and watch and talk about movies off our list of shame or movie blind spots. These are movies we haven't seen. I'm Adam.
I'm Andy.
And if you've seen the title of this, you know what we're going to review. But before we get into that, we always like to talk about what we've been watching. So, Andy, what have you been watching, man?
All right. I have watched 3 movies that I guess would all be considered horror, although the first one is very much kind of a horror comedy. It's a movie I know you've already seen, but I just recently got around to watching it. It is called Freaky.
Freaky.
Directed by Christopher Landon, correct? The guy
correct.
that was responsible for bringing you Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You.
And hopefully Happy Death Day 3.
I know. We need that, the end of that trilogy. But Freaky has, obviously, Vince Vaughn, and I never can remember the girl's name.
Nope.
I
think if you look back when I talked about it, I did the same thing.
I talked about that movie, The Map of Tiny Perfect Things, that she's in, and I was like, I don't remember her name. But sorry, whatever your name is. Like she watches.
It's nothing against you. It's just we're bad.
One of these days, I'll remember her name. But I like Freaky. I mean, I would say I liked it probably about as much as the Happy Death Day movies. It's a fun movie. It's a fun watch. Vince Vaughn is funny. Yeah. Channeling his inner teenage girl, high school girl kind of thing. But yeah, I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments. Although I agree 100%. I do hear a lot of reviewers talking about that. I don't know if this is true or if this is wishful thinking, that they wish Vince Vaughn's character was actually Jason from the Friday the 13th series. So it's Freaky Friday the 13th. And I don't know if they like that concept and they're running with it. I don't know if was an actual concept or if that's just something they're kind of spitballing, but just wanted to, what would you think about it being Jason Voorhees instead of...
I mean, that would have been cool. I mean, he definitely has a mask that's kind of similar to Jason, so yeah. But, I mean, I thought it's fine for what it is. But yeah, that would have been kind of a cool little addition, I guess.
Yeah.
Although it's kind of weird. It would be weird seeing Jason act like that.
Yeah, because I guess his face is kind of mangled. I haven't really fully baked that thought, so...
Yeah. And then secondly, I watched a movie with Russell Crowe.
Your twin.
Where my twin, yes. A movie with Russell Crowe where he talks, a movie that kind of demonstrates road rage at its worst. I don't think this movie's all that good, and I understand it's not meant to be believable, but this movie, my goodness, it just has so many implausibilities to it. It's just ridiculous. I mean, you could do worse. So, I mean, if you decide to watch it, you might be entertained, or you might, at least kind of be like, oh, damn, he's crazy. That kind of reaction to it. I mean, I kind of had that reaction to it, but it's not amazing. And it really does have some stupid actions on probably everybody's part in the movie. But there's a lot of implausibilities. Again, not that you watch a movie like that to expect 100% realism. Because you definitely don't get it. And then finally, because I was watching kind of some horror films, I watched a movie from, I think, 2008, which I've always heard kind of good things about, called Eden Lake. Have you ever heard of Eden Lake?
I've heard of the name. I don't know anything about the movie.
It is a British film. It stars Kelly Riley. I always want to call her Mary Riley, but Mary Riley is the name of the movie, with Julia Roberts. Kelly Riley, I believe is her name, and it also stars Michael Fassbender. I just like saying his name like that. Fassbender.
Yeah, that's how you're contractually obligated to say his name that way.
They play a young couple who go to of all places, like a rock quarry type place or something called Eden Lake, because it's romantic for some reason. I don't know. And there's a group of hooligan kids, teenagers there that they run afoul of. And the movie turns into like a cat and mouse kind of thing where they're being chased and harassed by these crazy teenage hooligans. It was okay. It's kind of brutal. Maybe not as brutal as some movies that I've seen, but it'll make you want to slap some kids. I mean, those kids are jerks.
No Green Room?
But it's not nearly as harrowing as Green Room. Okay. Man, that movie, thinking about it makes my heart race.
Yeah, that movie.
Green Room is intense. No, it's not nearly as good as Green Room, and it's not nearly as intense as Green Room. But it is okay. Again, the main characters and whatnot make some really stupid decisions, but I guess that's par for the course in movies like this and in movies like Unhinged. All right, so what have you been watching?
It's a good question. I haven't said this on the show, but over the past few months, Kirby and I have been watching the OC. It's a rewatch for her. It's a first watch for me. Partially inspired by Patrick Willems, who I've mentioned on the show a few times, because he did a big essay on that show. And it's okay. I don't have the love for it that he does, but I'm also coming into it, almost 20 years after it aired, and it wasn't part of my growing up. It wasn't a part of me, so I don't have maybe a nostalgia look at it. The fourth and final season is just terrible. Like, it is off the rails. It is a completely different show. It just feels weird. It's so weird. It's every episode, Kirby and I look at each other like, what is this that we're watching? It's so different. And I haven't found any like reason why it's different. Like, I haven't found like that the showrunner left, or that there was a change up at the studio, or any of that kind of stuff. It's so weird. So the OC guys, I think the big thing that a lot of people remember for that show is the music, right? They did a very good job of finding and licensing music that was of the day, and like bringing in like those kind of indie bands and stuff like that. This is like in the Garden State kind of vein of things, when that was all cool and people were talking about like, I was gonna say the Pixies, but Pixies is not one of those bands. Imogen Heap's one of them, right? When she was all the craze and stuff.
Say?
Yeah. And we did watch that episode and the SNL skit for that episode.
Yes, classic.
Classic. Excuse me. The last thing I watched was a movie that I love from the 90s that I remember being called Robo Jocks, but it's not Robo Jocks. It's called Robot Jocks, and this is a mecha cool action movie. Excuse me, I'm choking up because it's so good. 1 second. There we go. Cool action movie from the 90s that uses stop motion miniatures and all that kind of stuff. And it was a blast revisiting this movie. I know you watched
Crash and Burn.
Crash and Burn, buddy. Oh, you were supposed to.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. It's awesome. If you haven't seen Robot Jocks,
Robo Jocks.
I highly suggest checking it out, especially if you like Pacific Rim and all that kind of stuff. There are some parallels and all that kind of stuff, but Robot Jocks was awesome.
Robot Jocks.
What do I want to say? Robo Jocks.
I don't know.
And there's sequels, and we need a remake, I say.
Well, they remade it as Pacific Rim.
They did.
All right.
All right, so let's get into our featured review, because that's all I've been watching, and that is
Bringing Up Baby from 1938. All right, David is a zoologist eager to finish his Brontosaurus exhibit. He meets Susan, an eccentric young woman who turns his life upside down, and together they go on a series of adventures involving a dog named George, an intercostal clavicle, and a leopard named Baby in Bringing Up Baby.
Susan!
Yes, David.
Oh, you're all right.
Yes, I'm all right.
You lied to me.
No, well, I did just
Telling me a
bit,
ridiculous story
no, but
about a
it wasn't
leopard.
a ridiculous story. I have a leopard.
Well, where is the
right
leopard?
in there.
I don't believe you, Susan.
But you have to believe me.
I've
It's the
been a
absolute
victim of
truth.
your unbridled imagination once more. All the way talking about...
That'll teach you to go around saying things about people.
Susan, you've got to get out of this apartment.
But, David, I can't. I have a lease.
Oh, it isn't that. You've got to get this thing out of here.
Don't worry about
I'll
him.
fix
He's
it.
really all right. What are you going to do?
I'm going to call the zoo.
Oh, no, you can't do that, David. Oh, that's the meanest thing I ever heard. He's a pet. He'd be miserable in a zoo. Listen, from my brother Mark from Brazil. Dear Susan, I'm sending you Baby. That's Baby. A leopard I picked up. Got him with your life. He's 3 years old, gentle as a kitten, and he likes dogs.
What?
I don't know whether Mark means that he eats dogs or is fond of them. Mark's so vague at times. He
Vague?
also likes music, particularly that song, I Can't Give You Anything But Love,
Oh,
Baby.
that's absurd.
No, it isn't, David, really.
All right, Bringing Up Baby was directed by Howard Hawks. Howard Hawks was not only a director, but he was a producer. He was a producer for The Thing from Another World, which we did last October when we were doing all our Halloween movies. It stars Archibald Leach. Sorry, he's better known to you as Cary Grant. But yes, his name really was Archibald Leach. Cary Grant stars as David. Yeah. Katharine Hepburn stars as Susan. And I won't really mention most of the rest of the cast, but it does feature a couple of people that we've seen in The Quiet Man, and that was Barry Fitzgerald plays Gogarty. Gogarty.
Yep.
He was Michelin in
Of course, he was in The Quiet Man.
Yes, he was Michelin in The Quiet Man, and Ward Bond is in this. Just for a second, he plays a motorcycle policeman who I think brings in Gogarty to the jail. Ward Bond was in The Quiet Man. He was Father Lonergan, and he's also Bert the Cop in It's a Wonderful Life.
Cool.
And I mean, he obviously, in It's a Wonderful Life and in Quiet Man, he has a lot bigger role. In this movie, again, he's basically an extra in the movie. He's not even, I don't think, credited in the cast. And then it also has the dog that plays George is the dog, in real life, his name was Skippy. Or maybe it was a her. I didn't look that up. But it's Skippy. I'll just say it was named Skippy. It played Asta in the Thin Man movies, and the Thin Man movies starred William Powell and Myrna Loy, who we might be talking about on Wednesday.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Skippy is a wire fox terrier. I wrote that down. Wire fox terrier. That's what kind of dog it was. But Skippy played George in this film. All right, so Bringing It Baby is a movie. It's kind of a classic screwball comedy, and that's kind of what we're talking about this week is screwball comedies. I don't know why I don't need to use air quotes with that, but I am. But this is a movie that I've seen probably a couple of times before now. It's a movie that you've never seen.
Never seen it.
Which is why it's on your list. So what if anything, did you know about Bringing Up Baby? Had Kirby ever seen it before?
Yeah, Kirby loves this movie.
I thought so.
Loves this movie.
So what did you know about it before you saw it, and what did you think about it?
I knew absolutely nothing about it. I knew it was a screwball comedy because that's what the theme was for this week. Mm-hmm. So I knew we were going down that road. Yeah. But I knew nothing about it. I was very surprised when I learned what. Oh, thank you.
Fuzz here.
I was very surprised when I learned what Baby was.
Yes.
That was interesting.
Baby the leopard.
So I didn't know a whole lot going into it. I had a very interesting reaction to this movie. That kind of colored the way I feel about this movie.
Okay.
And so I'm saying I need to revisit it again. But Katharine Hepburn, I had a very visceral reaction to her character Susan. Uh-huh. Like it stressed me out. Like I got so much anxiety.
It stressed Cary Grant out too.
Oh no, I felt exactly everything he was feeling.
Yeah.
Although I wanted to, spoiler alert for the end, gone back around with her. I would have just left her the curb.
Okay.
The way she was about like not being, I couldn't tell if she was just oblivious to what's going on or if she was doing it on purpose. I think in the movie they kind of mix it a little bit. I think in the beginning she's kind of oblivious, but then you kind of learn for her to kind of keep, Cary Grant around. She starts doing things on purpose and acting that way. Mm-hmm. But that obliviousness, that the way she kind of interacted with people and kind of just took people's things and just wasn't with it, just like on a very visceral level, just stressed me out. So I did not have a good time watching this movie because the whole time she was on screen, it was just like giving me anxiety and it was stressing me out like so much. And maybe that speaks volumes about me as a person, but that I couldn't deal very well. So I ultimately, because of those those negative emotions that stirred up in me, I really didn't care for the movie that much because of that. I know I'm probably leaving a whole lot on the table with it. I know it's a really well-received movie. And maybe revisiting it again and knowing that's what our character is going to be like, I won't have that kind of reaction to it. But that's kind of where I fall on it this time, guys.
That's interesting.
I feel like that's like, I don't know. I feel bad. I feel like the sad trombone should be playing and stuff like that. I feel like I let everyone down, but that's really how it affected me when I was watching this movie.
I actually think that's very interesting that you say that. That's funny.
So, so there's aspects of it I like. I liked Cary Grant a lot of the movie. I really thought I liked the idea that Baby was the leopard. Like, that was cool. And I was really curious like how they filmed all the scenes with the leopard, right?
Well, some of it they use like rear projection.
Yeah.
Mats, I think.
Yeah, I think when jumps on the table and stuff like that, using rear projection. But sometimes I think like the leopard's probably drugged.
For sure.
Because they get like really close to it. I'm just like, those people are brave.
Well, I was reading that I think Katharine Hepburn wasn't really scared of it, but Cary Grant was terrified of it, which I would have been Cary Grant. I would have been like, I don't want to get near that thing, like in case it goes crazy. But there was always, obviously the trainer was right there with like a whip, ready to whip it into shape or whatever. Which I'm not condoning that or whatever, but he was there to corral the thing.
Yeah.
In case it attacked one of the stars.
But you said you've seen this movie a few times, so why don't you tell me why this movie's awesome and or why you like this movie and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, I just think it's funny. It's obviously it's very critically acclaimed as well. I'll go ahead and I'm not going to tell all the critics' reviews yet. We'll do that at the end. But it was number 97 on the AFI list of 100 movies, and it's been bumped up to number 88 on their most recent. Excuse me. Now I got the cough.
It's contagious.
It's been bumped up to number 88 on AFI's 100 best movies. But I mean, I like it. I don't know if I like it that much or whatever, but I just think it's funny. Katharine Hepburn's character. I mean, I can kind of see what you're saying about how she's crazy enough to kind of stress you out or whatever. But I think that's just kind of something to be expected. So I didn't really go over like the definition of screwball comedy or anything like that. And I mean, I would say if you look up what is a screwball comedy, you'll get a lot of different interpretations of it. But it seems to be the common thread that I would kind of read when I was looking up on the internet is that you have it's typically almost always like a romantic kind of comedy, like It Happened One Night is considered kind of the prototype or the first one by a lot of people with Claudette Colbert and Clark Gable. But it takes usually it's a romantic comedy, but it's not your typical romantic comedy. It takes a man and a woman that are from vastly different backgrounds, and a lot of times the woman has kind of the upper hand on the guy, which of course I would say Katharine Hepburn does in this film, and I would say in the film we're talking about on Wednesday, the Myrna Loy character kind of has the upper hand, at least for a lot of it.
Would you say It's a Wonderful Life screwball comedy? I feel like it has that flavor to it.
I wouldn't describe it as that,
Okay.
but yeah, everybody's interpretation is different. But yeah, I mean, I would say the definition is kind of loose. I mean, you can describe a lot because a lot of people think a screwball comedy has to have this really, really rapid fire dialogue, but I don't think It Happened One Night necessarily has that. Like His Girl Friday definitely has a ton of rapid fire dialogue, and that's what the Gilmore Girls kind of aspire to be. But I wouldn't say, again, the movie that we're going to talk about on Wednesday has real rapid fire dialogue. But anyway, I think this movie is just really funny. It's zany.
Yeah.
They have a lot, again, as I was saying in the description, they just kind of go on a series of adventures. Somehow another leopard winds up in the mix, from the zoo, and it's like really vicious.
Did we get a name for that one?
It's like, I don't think that one.
Oh, that one.
They might mention a name of it. I can't remember. And then of course they're looking for the intercostal clavicle that gets buried by the dog George, and where did he bury it? They got to dig up the holes. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Katharine Hepburn definitely is kind of shady as far as her actions in keeping Cary Grant around because she likes him, and I mean he's engaged. And it's like his poor fiance. You basically see her at the beginning, and you might see her one other time, and then you see her at the end, and it's just like, oh, it's over.
Yeah. And it's just like it's also on the day they're supposed to get married.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and she's just like kind of keeping them, and she knows that too.
Yeah.
So
but I like kind of the, I don't know if you call it klutziness, but Katharine Hepburn like picks up his golf ball and starts playing with it, and then starts driving his car away with and wrecks it. Starts ramming it into stuff. Yeah,
my heart starts like palpitating when you talk about that.
There you go. I'm stressing you out even now, but no, I think it's a funny movie.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, I mean, I think Cary Grant is great. Cary Grant's always great. Katharine Hepburn is great. They both have the very distinct accents and distinct ways of talking. It's called the transatlantic accent, is what it is typically known as. Cary Grant was actually born in England and came to the United States when he was 16 years old and just stayed. Katharine Hepburn is from Connecticut. She is not English. But they both kind of have a very, which I would say she just has kind of a northern almost kind of accent, but Cary Grant has that transatlantic accent, and that was just, the transatlantic accent is like a fake accent. It's not even, it's not like a real accent.
It's not like regional or based on
regional,
like
right?
geography.
Like you grew up in a place and that's why you have it.
Yeah.
It was kind of taught to people almost as like teaching them diction or something. And that's just kind of what Cary Grant kept for his whole career. I don't know if he sounded like that in real life. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, I like this film. I think it's funny. I think it's obviously a prime example of a screwball comedy, but there's a lot of other really good examples of screwball comedies, like It Happened One Night and His Girl Friday and stuff like that. So, but I would say if you're looking to start on the screwball comedy list, Bringing Up Baby is a good place to start, I think.
I agree.
And you need to watch it again and not be so stressed out.
Yeah, I need to take like a beta blocker or something.
Right, yeah.
Or
Take
Xanax.
something, take something to calm you down so Katharine Hepburn's Susan character doesn't make you crazy.
I think you're talking about the movies and stuff like that, and I think like from The Mummy, Rachel Weisz's character kind of borrows from screwball comedies like this.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a couple times where Katharine Hepburn speaks so fast that I'm like, what'd she say?
Yeah.
I mean, it was she's like Busta Rhymes fast with her or Twista fast with her speech and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of rapid fire dialogue in this movie and a lot of talking over each other and just crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
And crazy wacky characters.
All right. Well, we know how I feel. We know how you feel, but do we know how everyone else feels?
We know that on Rotten Tomatoes, it's 93% fresh with an 89% audience score. I could not find a Roger Ebert print review. Obviously, this way predates any show that he did, but I didn't find one that he. But I mean, I think it's in his like 100 movies to see or 1,000 movies or whatever book he has, like movies to see before you die or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's in there, so he likes it. I mean, I'm sure he liked it. And then Leonard Maltin gives it 4 stars.
And no Siskel review either.
Didn't even look. Honestly.
Poor Gene Siskel.
Well, the problem is there's a RogerEbert.com. I don't think there is a GeneSiskel.com.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, you can find print reviews of his, but you got to do more digging.
Yeah.
I'm lazy, so I just go to RogerEbert.com, type in the movie, and if it's not there, it's not there.
Yeah.
Or if it's not on their show, it's not on their show. But if it's on their show, chances are, there would be a print review of it. So anyway, I paired this.
Yep.
With another movie that is considered a screwball kind of comedy. And I didn't want to choose something that's super well known, like It Happened One Night or His Girl Friday, although I do want to do those at some point. I chose to pair it with another screwball comedy that I think is really overlooked. Well, first of all, I want to say that Bringing Up Baby is not on Blu-ray, at least in North America, except Criterion just announced today. As we're filming this, that they're putting it in the Criterion Collection, so I think it's in July.
We're influencer guys. We're influencers.
I think it's in July. Bringing Up Baby will finally see a North American Blu-ray release. It may be on Blu-ray in some other region, but it's not on Blu-ray, at least not right now, but it will be later on this summer, thanks to the Criterion Collection. We watched it on HBO Max.
Yep.
Which you can watch it on HBO Max too, if you've got that. And you can also watch the next movie we're going to talk about on Wednesday on HBO Max. I chose it because it's kind of overlooked. It does have a Blu-ray release. It was put out by Warner Archive last year, maybe 2020, something like that. But it's called Libeled Lady, starring Spencer Tracy, Myrna Loy, William Powell, and Jean Harlow. That's next time.
All right. Well, stay tuned for that episode next time. But I want to know how you guys feel about Bringing Up Baby. Are you bringing it up like Andy and everyone else? Or are you bringing it down like me? Leave a comment below. Let us know. Or shoot us an email, realshame@gmail.com. At that email address, we also answer viewer questions that we do on air. It's realshame@gmail.com. We're on social media at realshame on Instagram. Like, subscribe, share the show. That really does help, and we do appreciate that. And stay tuned next week as we dig into the lady who libeled and libel lady. Does it work that way?
Sure.
I don't think it does. And we'll see you soon, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.